to the Above Average Podcast. I'm your host, Lake, and with me, as always, is Tanim.
What's going on?
How you doing, Tanim?
Yeah, happy Halloween to
Happy
you.
Halloween.
Did you do anything for Halloween? Did you dress up or anything?
Oh yeah. See, my costume was genius. I went as a morph from Treasure Planet.
Oh, nice. Did people get your costume?
No, I had to explain it every time. See, the beauty of going as morph is a shapeshifter, so I could really just dress however I want, and I'm still morph. No one can tell
Right.
me I'm not morph. So
And no one can assume your gender.
yeah, pretty much. I don't think morph has a gender.
That's a hot topic.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, morph has neither gender nor sex. I think he's kind of just an amorphous blob, like Kirby.
Yeah.
Kirby's like an amorphous pink blob.
I got one of those Squid Game outfits.
Of course you did. See,
Of course.
we didn't discuss this and we didn't add it to the notes, but like I want to talk about Squid Game.
All right.
Because that's very topical. I am of the belief that Squid Game was made entirely for the purposes of selling Halloween costumes.
It could be. I mean, it was a good marketing gimmick.
It obviously is.
Obviously, clearly.
Because think about it. Everyone, like, it has like the obvious Halloween costume because it has like the guys wearing the masks and like what do they wear besides that? A pink hoodie. Like if you have a hoodie and you buy one of these masks, like that's just your Halloween costume. Everyone's like, "Oh, you're the square from Squid Game."
Yeah.
See, it's all a conspiracy. Like, and they released it in October. Come on, like there's no way they did not.
And they also got a lot of flack too from parents kind of being sensitive because their 12-year-old kid was like, "Oh, Squid Game this," and then they watched it and then they realized what they just watched.
Yeah, well, that's been going on forever. Like, I mean, like I don't know if you remember going out for Halloween when you were a kid, but like I always wore like slasher masks. Like I went as Jason
Like Scream,
one year,
yeah.
and like yeah, exactly. Scream was like the big guy to go as in like the mid 2000s. But like if I'm in the fourth grade, I'll wear a Scream mask, but I'm not going to watch Scream because that's a slasher movie. Yeah, no. So I don't know. Like I don't think it's wrong for kids to dress up as like more adult things.
No, I don't think it's wrong. It's just that they complained to the parents complained saying like, new series was so popular, made my kid want to watch it, and then they saw these deaths.
Yeah, but also, fuck up. Like, like I get when parents complained back when there were like 3 channels on TV, and like they complained like, "Oh, my kid saw titties," or my kid saw I don't know, saw Jack Nicholson's ass in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. But like, now you have a lot more control over what your kid watches, and it's really on you. Like, there's no reason to watch for your kid to like have to watch Squid Game. Shit, you control the Netflix account, you control the password. Like that's on you, man.
Right. I mean, these are the same parents who get riled up when GTA comes out every once in a while.
Do they still do that?
Yep.
Like, oh, okay. Like I didn't remember it like happened during GTA 7, I guess, because I didn't know any parents really back then, and by then my parents didn't care because I was 20.
I mean, some kid always managed to gets his friend's copy, and then like parents sees like, "Why do you get to kill all these like prostitutes and stuff?" And it's like,
you
all over the news.
You kill people in every game. It's just I don't know. That's what a video game is. It's not.
I mean, you kill people in Fortnite, but no one has goes nuts over that.
People are more mad about like the bad dancing. That's a whole different issue.
Yeah.
But you're right though. Like I haven't. But I guess that's why I didn't think people got up in arms anymore. Like I hadn't heard it recently. But like
there hasn't been a new GTA, but when they come out with it, you'll see them.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I think at this point it's pretty obvious you shouldn't let your kids play GTA. But I found when I was a kid, I could get away with playing games that were worse than GTA, but like my parents just didn't know what they were, so it was fine.
Yeah.
Like in Fallout 3 that I played all through like middle school, like you could just commit war crimes. Like you could just have like chemical and biological attacks and nuke a town, like pretty crazy. But like my parents wouldn't let me buy GTA because like because of Al Gore,
What it
they
was.
knew what GTA was. Yeah, yeah. Like that's the chainsaw prostitutes in half game. It's not the it was just because they knew about it, but otherwise they let me buy M-rated games all the time.
Yeah, I mean, no one really went nuts. I don't know if you've seen it, but, another good series to watch that's up there with Squid Games is Alice in Borderland, which kind of falls on the same premise of, like, a
A
video.
Japanese slash Korean
Yeah, it's
deathmatch
a
show.
Japanese kind of, like, video game that's run by people and, like, people die.
Oh, okay. Man, the Japanese and Koreans, like, I don't think they like each other very much, but they really do have a mutual love of like a deathmatch show
Yeah.
or a deathmatch movie, like battle royale. Like they really love like a deathmatch, which I don't know why that is. Like, is there something about that area of the world's culture that like means they have like the need for an outlet in deathmatch
I don't know,
shows?
maybe just drama and or, like, the need of for, like, consequences.
Yeah, yeah, fair enough. It was yeah, I guess maybe it's just like all an allegory of Japanese and Korean work culture.
Right.
Murder each other and you can get the piggy bank full of cash, maybe, possibly.
Yep.
Yeah. I think I did the math on it, and your odds of winning the Squid Game they're better than becoming one of the Forbes 400, but not as good as you might think. Not that
There was
much better.
also a Korean hot dog restaurant that had that, cookie game that you can play,
What the fuck was it
and a lot
called?
of people failed, so it's not that
Can
easy.
candy from Squid Game. All right, it's like the first Google result. Dalgona?
Yeah.
Am I pronouncing that right? Dalgona? I feel like no, but yeah, no, it's really funny. Like, Squid Game has become like such a cultural phenomenon that like I just know like from my girlfriend who doesn't watch it that everyone's obsessed with making this Korean candy now because of the stupid show. Like, it's so much of a cultural phenomenon that like my grandparents were watching it, and it's like I cannot emphasize how much that is like not their type of show.
Right.
I don't know how that happened.
I mean, people usually do that because of, the trend, like, no one's gonna talk about Squid Game next year.
Oh yeah, you're right. Like last year was Tiger King, this year it's Squid Game. But like, remember what I was talking about before, where like there were only 3 channels on TV. It kind of feels like we're coming back to that a little bit, where because everyone has like Netflix, Amazon Prime, or one of
HBO
them,
or
or
whatever,
Disney
yeah.
Plus. Exactly. Like everyone has like one of them, so there's only like 4 or 5 channels depending on if you live in the states or not. So now everyone watches the same thing as long as it's something like Netflix really, really shilled for.
Yeah,
And I didn't expect that just because, like, with Netflix and other streaming services, you can really divide it by genre. So, like, if I don't want to watch anime, I'll never see anime on my Netflix. Like, it'll almost never be recommended. I don't know. For some reason, Netflix really pushes their original shows, so I guess
yeah.
everyone's got to watch those. You ever do those Netflix surveys? Like,
Nope.
have you heard of this show? No. I wanted to do it, so I did one, and they really wanted to know why I hadn't watched Dear White People season 3, and like honestly, it's just like it seems like a college drama, and that's not my
So
thing.
you gave it 2 seasons and then just dropped out?
No, I haven't seen one season. It's just it doesn't seem like my type of show. But like Netflix, the survey seemed like aghast that I had not watched their original programming. It was like, why haven't you watched season 3?
Yeah.
Is there something preventing you from watching season 3? Did you just not like it?
I guess they were getting a lot of slack on that show, and they're like, "Why aren't people watching
Is that
this?"
what it is? Like, is that like an indication that they anticipated a lot of people to watch it and then no one did?
Yeah, well, I mean, whenever there's a survey, it's always a specific reason, like, of what answers they really want to get. So, like, if one show's not doing really well, they need to figure out why not.
Okay, so like they presumably wouldn't send a survey out about Squid Game because everything's going fine, or
Yeah.
okay, like they wouldn't really need to They don't think like they want to replicate it,
Well,
or
I also doesn't need a lot more promoting, right? So, like,
you got a point. No, but I mean, like, so they can replicate the success in the future.
I
I
mean,
don't.
I guess I think it's genre specific because, like, I don't think your show is like a horror film or thriller.
Oh, okay. I guess that makes sense. It's weird. Yeah, I guess it's yeah. But like, it is kind of weird and inconsistent. Kind of what shows up as like the Netflix phenomenon of the time. Because like Tiger King and what should we call it, Squid Game don't have anything in common.
Yeah, same thing that happened with Queen's Gambit.
Right? Yeah, that's like like one's like kind of a dull. Shouldn't say dull.
It's like an off-topic kind of like,
Yeah, a very deliberate show.
yeah.
Much less death matches. No death matches at all. It's just not the genre I want to see. But I it kind of brings me to another. I don't get how Korea has managed, or South Korea specifically, has managed to like generate this much cultural influence. Like for a country of just like 60 million people, which is about the population of France. Economy is a little smaller than ours in Canada, and they don't make English movies, so it's not like Britain, which also has a similar population, where like they have a cultural influence because they make movies in our language. So I don't get what happened there. Not that I'm complaining. I like Korean shows. Like they made this one about draftees in the Korean army who like get enlisted as military police and they have to hunt down deserters. It's a good little social commentary show, but it's very specific to Korea because the U.S. and Canada and Britain, we don't have conscription, so it's just I don't know. It's weird
Not
that it
relatable.
resonates, but it's not really relatable in a lot of ways. But because I was never in the
Yeah.
army, but and I don't think most people were in the army. It's still an interesting show. I just don't know how it happened. Like, why Korea? Why not China or Vietnam or I guess Japan? Well, Japan has its influence still.
I don't know. I mean, maybe those other countries aren't making movies or getting them through Netflix.
Yeah, I mean maybe Netflix just saw like maybe it's really just BTS and Netflix saw like, oh, there's money in this Korean culture business, and it just self perpetuates. I don't know.
Also, another good one was, it's still pretty big, but Money Heist was good.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
Spanish, like Spanish from Spain. Okay, yeah. I Oh yeah. See, that is another show I could see being marketed just to sell Halloween costume because you just have to wear that Salvador Dali mask and a red
Yeah,
hoodie.
it was big when it came out, and it still is, but, like, they haven't finished the season yet, so once they do, I'm sure it'll get back.
Yeah. Then all the Halloween mask sales will go back to the top. See, all Netflix is about selling Halloween costumes, and I will die on this hill.
It's a good model. I mean, they're following, Nintendo does that a lot.
Oh yeah, like just
They're, like, the masters
just
at
based it around.
accessorizing things and
Oh,
making
okay.
people buy shit that they don't need.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, yeah, because like the Star Wars movies made a lot of money, but the real money was in the toys.
Oh, yeah.
Like the toys, the T-shirts, the lunch boxes. Like that's where George Lucas made his billions of dollars. Like, because there's only so many movie tickets you'll sell, but like you can sell a fuck ton of lunch
And that's
boxes.
why Disney bought them, because they knew that.
Yeah. What was it? It was like George Lucas had like a really good deal with 20th Century Fox. Like I think what it was is like he didn't get paid much for making Star Wars, but they gave him the merchandising rights or something like that.
Yeah.
Like kind of thinking they would be worthless, and then he was off to the races. So maybe that's why he had the motivation to you know push the toys so
Yeah.
hard. But yeah, no, thank you, toy nerds, for subsidizing film production. Yeah, no, it's a good strategy. It's a good strategy. I don't think you can like yeah they also they're doing like a lot of comedy specials, like Dave Chappelle's comedy special came out, but you can't really accessorize that, like just goes on wearing jeans and a hoodie, which if he had a mask, then that's the making of a good Netflix Halloween costume, but that's about it.
Right.
So you know Dave Chappelle, if you're listening, if you want to make that sweet George Lucas money, just wear a mask for your next comedy
I mean,
special.
he's doing pretty well.
Yeah, has he really done it? Like I've seen him on a lot of the Netflix comedies. Like I haven't seen it because I don't really like to watch stand up as like a Netflix special. I there's something about it I just can't. It feels stale or
Yeah.
something. Watching like an hour or 2 hours of stand up comedy, it's just I don't know. I can't do it. Like, has he been doing anything besides that? Like, has he been making a new Chappelle show or
I
anything?
mean, everyone kinda took a break because of COVID because they obviously couldn't go to
Right.
events, but he was one of the first ones to do, like, open mic nights, like, around where he lived in Ohio.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was I guess that's all they
Yeah.
can do, like, car drive-ins and they
Yeah.
could do stand-ups, but aside from that, most comedians didn't do anything,
Yeah. I mean,
except
I
for,
guess
like,
like
maybe Zoom meetings or whatnot.
yeah, I guess a stand-up special makes sense as like a COVID production, just because it's pretty cheap and you know, it doesn't require a lot of people being around each other. Like it's just the one guy on stage and he doesn't have to touch anyone.
Right.
Ideally, I mean, unless
But then you have to get an audience because that's the whole premise,
no,
kind of like
exactly. Like the canned laughter just isn't the same. You know what I have been disappointed in though with COVID movies, and I think it was a really big missed opportunity, and it looks like it's not really going to happen. I was hoping studios would do a lot more animated movies. Like I think, well, yeah, because
yeah.
you don't have to get a bunch of people together. You just put them in a sound booth. You sanitize the sound booth in between. I think that could have. I think that's a missed opportunity that people didn't try and take more chances with animated movies over the pandemic, because that could have been really cool. Like just like can you imagine Denis Villeneuve doing an animated movie?
I'm sure they'll do a Dune animated one after
Yeah,
this.
no. Apparently, we're gonna talk about Dune later in the episode, but yeah, Dune. I think they are making one. I think it's called Sisters of Dune. I don't know if it's animated actually. I might be getting it mixed up with like the Blade Runner anime they're making.
Alright.
And I don't have high hopes for it because I don't know. It's not Heretics of Dune. It's not God. It's not any of the Frank Herbert books. Or sorry, Sisterhood of Dune. Oh God. Ugh. No, it's just that
No good?
Dune: The Sisterhood is okay. Actually, they're not saying if it's animated or not. So maybe it's not. But yeah, sorry. Dune: The Sisterhood of Dune is not a Frank Herbert book. It's a Brian Herbert book. So yeah, for all you non-Dune fans, there's probably 20 Dune books, but only 6 were written by the original author, Frank Herbert, and the remaining like 20 or so were written by his son and a guy named Kevin J. Anderson, and they're really not as good. Like it's a very substantial dip in quality. Generally speaking, like hardcore Dune fans are just like, nah, nothing, nothing after the original 6 is canon. This is all bullshit. So I would have high hopes for
Yeah.
this Sisterhood of Dune TV series. Not that I don't like Dune, but that seems that seems bad. That seems like the wrong thing to make into a
I mean, you
movie.
can always watch, all those comedy specials like Dave Chappelle's.
I don't know. No, I can't do 90 minutes of stand up, man. It's just
Yeah, you have to be into it, and I mean, I saw it, I liked it, but I'm a Chappelle fan, and he does go off on trans people on this one, so that's why
yeah.
there was a lot of controversy.
Oh yeah.
The CEO of Netflix did, like, support him, and that's why he got a lot of flack, and
Yeah.
both the CEO and Dave got a lot of flack for it, but, I mean, if you listen to it, you can tell, like, he's not transphobic, and
Okay.
in my opinion, but I mean, like, it was really funny, but that's kind of what happened, and they had some kind of trans protest, and some people got fired from Netflix for leaking stuff from it, so yeah.
See, the funny part of all this is that like Netflix, like among among the internet circles, they're like Netflix kind of has a reputation for being overly progressive, or maybe
Yep,
not overly progressive, but like progressive, and some people consider it overly progressive. But you know, with like the people will say like there's a whole joke that the movie, the book, the Netflix adaptation, and the Netflix adaptation apparently has gay and black characters added in where they weren't before. But which I don't
Yeah.
actually think that's a fair criticism. Like you know, whether or not you think that's a good idea, and I don't actually know of any example where they did that. like like obviously there's Bridgerton, but that just made like Bridgerton was based on like an alternate history where like there was a number of black people accepted into like British aristocracy in the 1800s. It's an alt history thing. It's not like they decided like, oh, George the Third was black like out of nowhere.
Right, also, you have to take in consideration kind of, like, the audience and where it's gonna be seen,
True.
like, I know, Doctor Strange had this whole thing with their movie and having it viewed in China,
Wait, what was the deal with
and
that?
having one of the characters
Oh,
changed
because one of
from,
them was
like
Tibetan, and the Chinese government was just
they
like,
made it female or something like that, yeah.
oh my god, that's that another interesting thing. There's a Malaysian rapper based in Taiwan, and an Australian a Chinese Australian singer named Kimberly Chen, I think her name is, and they made a song called Fragile, and it's about Chinese nationalists.
Right.
So, because you know the Chinese government is very fragile about anything relating to Tibetan or Taiwanese or Uyghur
Yep.
independence. Like they're very sensitive about
I
that.
mean, that's why John Cena had to apologize.
I know. I'm a little disappointed in him, honestly. Yeah, they're very like I mean, the fact that he had to is kind of like it's embarrassing. Like it's deeply embarrassing that he did.
Also impressive that he knew how to speak, Mandarin.
Yeah, okay, you know what? That's actually the main story there. That's weird. I Because Mandarin is not an easy language
Yeah.
for a native English
I
speaker.
mean, he's got a good agent
Yeah, fair enough. But
and publicist.
yeah, no, but like that's the problem with like with the mainland Chinese market is that like you know I think we thought that like trading with mainland China would influence them to be more permissive in their media freedoms, but what actually happened is they just shifted market forces so that it became unprofitable to create movies that go against the interest of their
I think I
government.
read somewhere that they haven't even released, Marvel's Shang-Chi because it has a lot of influences of Chinese culture, and they don't wanna show it yet.
So I heard they're delaying it because Sumo Liu did an interview with Vanity Fair a couple years back, where he was talking about because his parents are Chinese immigrants to Canada, and he was talking about their stories of China in the 60s when they were going through famines and the Cultural Revolution. So he was saying like, oh, China was like third world and not very nice and that sort of thing, and the Chinese government took offense to that. Yeah.
Doesn't make him look good, yeah.
Well, and I mean, the problem is like it's true. Like China was in really rough shape in the 1960s, but like you can't say that, I guess.
Yeah.
And I get it was embarrassing because in the Cultural Revolution they were like, students eat your teachers kind of thing, but and it was bad, and I'm sure it's something they'd rather everyone forget about, but it happened, so here we are.
Yeah.
Yeah, one thing about Shang-Chi that I have you seen it?
Yep.
Yeah, so one thing I found about it is like Shang-Chi is fundamentally anti-Confucian. So it's the premise of it is against Confucian family values in that like Shang-Chi is like a kid who ran away from his father and had to fight his father as like the primary villain, which goes against like the principle of filial piety, which is very central to Confucian philosophy. And in that way, I don't know that it's surprising that the Chinese government doesn't want to show the movie because it goes against President Xi's his attempt to shift towards what he calls like traditional Chinese values or traditional Confucian
Yeah.
values. And like the movie kind of very much goes against it. And so in that sense it's weirdly subversive, which is not what I expected for Marvel's first movie about a Chinese American character.
Yeah.
Which is, given their history of being overly accommodating to Chinese censors, I'm very proud of them that they didn't do it this time, but but maybe that wasn't on purpose. Maybe that was the director,
Yeah.
and they kind of went over their head, or maybe it's just they unearthed all that shit that Liu said 7 years ago.
They held grudges.
Yes. No, I mean, maybe, yeah. Maybe it's because, like, the movie was made by Chinese Americans who, they're like, nah, fuck you. You guys, like, murdered my grandparents or something like that. I don't know. Still some grudges in that. Well, because, Simu Yu's parents had to flee China because of famines caused by the ruling party of China.
Yeah.
So he might have some feelings in that regard. Who knows? But, yeah, in other movie news, Alec Baldwin.
He's back at it, but not in a good way.
No, no. The funny part is like, okay, so he shot a cinematographer, and at this point, as we're recording it, I don't think it's clear what happened. Like, we do know there was an accident involving a prop gun.
Right, but no like details on it yet.
No details, like whether or not Alec Baldwin was negligent in what he did, or
Someone else was.
who's at fault. Yeah. So we don't really know what happened, but this sort of thing does happen. Like Brandon Lee, Bruce Lee's son,
The Crow.
Yeah, the Crow. Yeah, he was killed by a prop gun.
Yep.
And apparently, what happened with that one is they were shooting for a scene, and they had dummy bullets, and they took out the powder but not the primer, and so based on the inertia from the primer, a bullet like lodged itself in the barrel, and then they switched it out for blanks, and what ended up happening is the powder in the blank shot the bullet that was stuck in the chamber at Brandon Lee, and I think, yeah, struck him and he was killed.
Yeah, usually they don't use gunpowder when they have the fake bullet, but this time they did have gunpowder mixed with the fake bullet. And
yeah, because there was two different scenes. They wanted to have
yeah,
a scene with the bullets in them, so like the audience doesn't see that like they're just blanks and they don't have actual bullets in
yep.
them. And then the actual scene where they're firing, it's like then they have the blanks in them. But so what do you think about like actually releasing this movie? Do you think more people are going to go see it because of what
I think they
happened?
will show it. I mean, not comparison, but I mean they obviously came out with the Fast and Furious movie when Paul Walker died.
True. Paul Walker wasn't killed on
Right.
set though. Like he wasn't killed
But
by
again, I mean they'll do it because also cut their losses, but also, all the people who worked on it. I mean, they could always put up the funds to help the loved ones of the deceased. And
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know, but I mean, I think they will
Yeah.
probably still make the movie.
No, yeah, like it's weird. Like in some ways, it almost feels disrespectful to not finish the movie because you'd think like, oh, this person died to make this movie.
I mean, the movie's gonna get slack either way, but interesting that everyone was just like, "Poor Alec Baldwin," whereas my head was like, "What about poor the person who died?"
Poor Helena Hutchins. It's very sad because her cinematography career was kind of just taking off. Her first credit was in 2017, and I think her first breakthrough was Darlin in 2019. This could have been a big film for her.
I mean, usually on sets they have like sheriffs and officers, and it's really like well protected when you have any type of armory or guns on set.
Oh yeah,
So, but I mean, accidents happen.
like with your intimate knowledge of the actual inner workings of movies, do you think this is Alec Baldwin's fuck up, or it's like the prop guys?
It's not the actor's fault. I don't think so. I mean, all the guns and all your materials and sets and costumes are organized and planned by someone else, and they have to make sure that everything's up to code and properly maintained. So one of those individuals messed up and didn't really check the guns.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like, yeah, because I don't know. Yeah, I would assume that if you're gonna fire a fake gun at someone, you best be sure it doesn't actually have a bullet.
I don't think the actors actually look at the guns inside and say like, okay, yeah, this is a fake or this one's real one. Like, know the difference. But I mean,
Yeah. Well,
who
and
knows?
how would Alec Baldwin know?
Right.
Yeah. Like it seems unlikely. Apparently, the governor of California wants to do a blanket ban on real guns on set. but I mean, that wouldn't have prevented this because it, like, the incident
I mean, the
happened.
gun didn't kill her. The bullet did.
Oh yeah, fair enough. Yeah, there's, and I mean, like, if you replaced it with airsoft guns, presumably you could still kill someone,
Right.
like, by accident. But, well, because usually it's not like an actual bullet. That when people do get killed by prop guns, it's usually not by a bullet. It's usually like a piece of debris in the gun that is like ejected by the blank,
Yeah.
or by the powder in the blank. But also, like, I really, really don't want more CGI in movies. I want real guns, guys.
Right. I mean, that accidents happen on sets all the time. Just when they're fatal, gets blown up.
Yeah. In a perverse way, I feel like I don't think anyone would have, or I can't imagine anyone would have, or too many people would have gone to see this movie. Like, I hadn't heard too much about it, but I'm not the biggest Alec Baldwin fan, but
They will now.
now it's like, yeah, exactly. Like, now everyone knows about this movie. Like, it's a phenomenon. Like, and people will know it for this reason and not much else. Other movies have had people die on set. It's just this one's particularly well
I'm
publicized.
sure there's a lot of indie movies too that accidents
Yeah,
happen.
no. Well, in like older movies,
Yeah.
like, it just happened all the time. Like in Blazing Saddles, they have that joke where he meets that gunslinger and he says, "I must have killed more men than Cecil B. DeMille," the old timey Hollywood director. Which I think he killed a lot of people trying to film a scene in a movie about Noah's Ark, and he put them in like an
Like
actual
suffocated them.
swimming pool with waves. Yeah, and like, well, like, he put like hundreds of people into a pool and made and simulated stormy conditions, and I
Right.
think and that killed quite a few people. Actually, let me just look that up so as not to commit slander. Oh, sorry. So the movie I'm thinking of is Noah's Ark, but it was not directed by Cecil B. DeMille. Cecil B. DeMille is known for killing an extra on set in a gun accident, where they failed to unload all the guns for rehearsals. But apparently, in like old timey westerns, like in the early, like, just when they were figuring out cinema, they would actually use actual bullets in the films, but just be like, don't shoot at anyone, just like shoot around them. So, safety has improved quite a bit.
I mean, that's how you have to do it. Trial and error and figure what works and what doesn't.
No, yeah, definitely. Like, it seems obvious to us now, but how the hell are you gonna, like, if you've never heard of a blank and no one else has ever heard of a blank? How are you gonna?
Have a gun seat.
Yeah, exactly. How would you imagine a shootout? I think you could come up with the concept of a blank, but I don't know. That's just me. These kinds of things aren't unheard of. Like, or set, yeah, like, on-set deaths have been happening since the beginning of Hollywood. Like, not that it is any less tragic. It's just,
They do happen.
yeah, they do happen. There's a long history of it, and I'm wondering how it'll be treated at the Oscars. Just because, like, presumably Helena Hutchins will be part of the
In memoriam.
in memoriam, yeah, in memoriam section, and presumably Alec Baldwin will be in attendance during that sequence. So that'll be interesting. I wonder if he won't go to the Oscars for that reason. We'll see. Let's say hypothetically, like, now I'm not saying this is the case, but what would happen if Alec Baldwin, like, turned out to be negligent and was arrested for manslaughter, and they had to finish the film with,
CGI Alec Baldwin.
like, would they erase Alec Baldwin from the film, or, well, like, because it's his movie, like, he wrote it or co-wrote it with Joel Souza. Like, would they erase him from the film like they did with Kevin Spacey and All the Money in the World?
Well, if he wrote it, he probably putting money into it, so he'll probably.
Yeah,
He's the EP.
he's a
Yeah,
producer. Yeah, or no, he's not an EP. He's like,
producer.
just
Yeah.
a producer. He's not an
I don't
executive.
know. He probably will still make it, but find a way to.
Yeah. I mean, well, presumably if like he's a producer, he can also shit can it if he decides it will be like too bad for his reputation to make
Yeah.
like to have the film released. Like he might just decide that. Like I would like that would be like if I mistakenly killed someone in a film and I controlled the production of the film and everyone was going to remember me for that. I might consider like canceling the film.
Right, but I mean, everyone's gonna remember you regardless.
No, yeah, you're right. But like, you don't want to remind people of it.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, so I think I just looked on I just checked the production company for Rust,
Yeah.
and it's a production company called El Dorado Pictures, but it just redirects to the Wikipedia page for Alec
So maybe it's
Baldwin.
his.
Yeah, presumably. So I assume he has quite a bit of control. Yeah, so El Dorado
Yeah.
is his production company. To me, this is like besides everything else, Rust looks like a pet project film, something someone's wanted to do for a long time, and like he's involved, like Alec Baldwin is involved in too many aspects of the film, and so it might turn out badly just because like if you take up too many roles, I feel like the odds that you'll produce a piece of shit go up just because you don't have other people around kind of pulling you back and telling you no, this is a stupid idea. Like Pluto Nash, no one was telling Eddie Murphy oh, this is going to be a piece of shit, don't do
Right,
it.
but you couldn't really tell him at that time.
Yeah, I guess that's true. And same thing with Mike Myers and the Love Guru. Sorry, Toronto, but
Yeah.
yeah, like I think that's like a whole problem. Like people get too powerful, and then they do pet project films where they're the writer, producer, director, and lead actor.
Or that movie that Jamie Foxx did after he won his Oscar.
Which one was that?
Stealth or something when like
Oh,
the
Stealth. I remember that movie. That movie was so much more boring than it should have been. I really wanted to see that movie as a kid because like the trailer looked so cool, and it wasn't that good. But I mean, parts of it were cool, but it was
I
not
mean
that good.
his bank account went up.
It did.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Got a shit ton of money for you're doing your next movie after winning an Oscar.
Oh, you mean okay? Yeah. Sorry, I thought you meant like this was like I don't know. I thought no one made money on Stealth because it was a huge box office
No,
failure.
no one made money except for Jamie
Oh,
Foxx.
that's brilliant. Yeah. So that was an interesting movie just because you know what? I'm gonna do a bit of an apologia for 2005's Stealth because it does a wee bit of a prediction of drone warfare, and in that sense is kind of ahead of its time, but on the other hand, like drones aren't actually like autonomous robots. Like they're just piloted by people thousands of miles
Yet.
away. Yeah, no, definitely. But so it's not actually parallel, but
Yeah.
there's a whole cultural thing.
Pick it up, Bezos.
Oh God, don't give him any ideas. Like I like him spending his money on space rockets
Spaceships and getting what's his face to the moon?
William Shatner?
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, the oldest man in space. Yeah, I'd rather he spend his money on this and not killer robots because that would not end well for anyone except Jeff Bezos.
But we'd get our packages faster.
Yeah, that's that seems likely. Yeah, I think they're about as fast as they can be.
Speaking of fast movies that I don't know where I'm going with this. Speaking of Dune.
Speaking of Dune. All right. But Dune. What did you think of Dune?
I mean, I had prior knowledge of Dune. I read all the 6 books a while ago.
Wow, all 6. So hear that? Not the
I
20.
saw Jodorowsky's Dune, so I had a lot of reference of what this movie was about, and I knew of Denis Villeneuve's history of movies, so I knew kind of what I was expecting. Kind of slow, that it's got a lot of wide, like B-roll shots that kind of emphasize like tone and mood. So
Yeah.
and uses a lot of like color to like get that feeling of where they are, whether it's like blues or oranges. So I knew what was happening, and it was good. I mean, for the most part, a lot of people gave us some slack because of certain actors not being in the movie that long or not knowing that it's a part 1 when it says it's part 1.
Yeah. No, I think like the biggest criticism I'd have of the movie is that it's as good as a Dune movie could be, just because it's very true to the source
Yeah.
material. So a lot of a lot of things I consider to be flaws in the movie are actually just flaws in the book of Dune. The biggest criticism I would have is I don't think it stands alone as a part one. Or it doesn't stand alone as a single movie. It needs part two. Like it wouldn't make sense without part two.
Right, it
Which
doesn't. Right, like, a lot of people were comparing it to, like a Star Wars or, like, a Marvel movie where, like, you can watch each of those movies and they can stand alone as a solo movie, whereas this one, it leads you to the part 2, and you don't really get the gist of the whole movie unless you watch both parts.
I mean, I think part of the problem is I think some Star Wars movies kind of have cliffhanger endings, or
Not really.
not particularly satisfying endings. Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back, it's often held to be one of the best Star Wars movies, or if not the best Star Wars movie. But its ending is not particularly satisfying. Like Luke gets his hand chopped off, finds out Darth Vader's his father, and they escape. But it's not like everyone, like nothing's really resolved.
Right, but I mean, it still end it doesn't leave you as, like, a cliffhanger of, like, what else is happening or introduce characters that only get 7 minutes of airtime.
Yeah, I guess that yeah, Stellan Skarsgård I think only had like 2 lines in the entire film.
Yep.
He'll have all of the like all of my criticism. This will all be rectified if there's a part two. So it's like it's not. I'm not really shitting on the film. It's just like we need the part two.
Oh, no, there is a part 2. They already had teasers about it.
They have confirmed the part. Yeah, Timothy Chalamet tweeted.
It's gonna be released in 2023.
So, do you think like they're just gonna do book one, or they're gonna try and do book two? They're gonna do Dune Messiah.
Part 2?
Yeah, like because my theory was like so Dune ended almost exactly where I expected it to end. Like it was gonna. I figured it would end when Paul and Jessica go into the desert, but I thought for part two, what they might do is last half of book one, and then do Dune Messiah,
Right.
like where Paul has his jihad.
Can't say jihad. Can't say it.
Oh yeah, that's something I want to talk about at some point. But yeah, Paul has his jihad, conquers the universe, becomes like a messianic emperor, and it ultimately kind of leads to his downfall. And like one of the things I think a lot of people don't expect from Dune is that it's very much a cautionary tale about hero worship. Like Paul is not the good guy, and you wouldn't know that,
From the first part.
yeah, from the first part. But like it becomes very apparent in Dune Messiah that Paul is not the good guy. Like Paul compare like in early in the second book, Paul compares himself to Adolf Hitler in terms of like the number of people. Like he says he's killed more people than Adolf Hitler and Genghis Khan combined. So he's not like, and I think that should be a warning sign that Paul is not the good guy. Paul is like
The male Khaleesi?
kind of. He's more like, oh, okay. So that's kind of what I want to talk about. Paul is the Prophet Muhammad.
Oh, no. We're gonna get canceled.
No. I'll be fine. I don't know if I can go to the Middle East ever again after saying this, but yeah.
Oh, we can't go to China anymore also.
Oh, okay. I'm pretty fucked,
We're
but
already
yeah. So
banned in a couple places.
yeah, that's unfortunate. Really should have done more traveling before doing this episode. But, yeah. So Paul's the story. So the stories of Dune are kind of a combination of three things. It's the story of T.E. Lawrence, who, if you don't know who that is, watch Lawrence of Arabia starring Peter O'Toole. He's a British army officer, so an outsider who goes to the Middle East and raises an Arab army during World War I to fight in a revolt against the Ottoman Turks. And he does so like appealing to religion by getting Hussein bin Ali, the Sharif of Mecca, on his side. And his family would eventually become the kings of Iraq and the kings of Jordan before the kings of Iraq were overthrown. But so Paul's like him in that sense, that he's an outsider leading an army of Arabs. And the Fremen are Arab Bedouins. Like their language is laced with Arabic throughout, and Paul is called the Mahdi or the Mahdi, or I don't know how to speak Arabic. Tanim, do you know how to speak Arabic?
A little bit. Why?
How would I say like the Mahdi? Mahdi.
Yeah, Madi.
Mahdi? Okay, like there's no
Sure, but I mean, it's depending on personal
preference.
accent.
Okay, fair enough. All right. So Paul is the Mahdi, which I think means Messiah in Arabic. Yeah, so he's so the other part that the story of Dune is influenced by is Stilgar. Stilgar's rebellion against the Harkonnens is based on Imam Shamil's struggle against the Russians in the 1800s, but more importantly, Paul is the Prophet Muhammad. Like that's mainly who he is. And what I mean by that is his story and Muhammad's story parallel each other, mostly in terms of like Paul's exile and then return with his religious army.
Right.
So Paul being exiled into the desert and then reconquering Arakeen with his army of Fremen and sandworms really parallels Muhammad's journey from Mecca to Medina and back again, like as a returning conqueror and religious leader. And then Paul's flag is black and green, which is like also flags commonly associated with the Umayyad Caliphate. And yeah, and he's referred to by like various Arabic and often Muslim religious terms like the Mahdi. So, and his war against the Padishah emperor is called his jihad,
right?
Which is, kind of parallels the early Arab Caliphate's conquest of the Sassanid Empire. And all this brings me to the fact that it seems like given all the Arab and Muslim influences in the Dune books, it seems like they tried to downplay that just a little bit.
You think that I'll add in part 2?
It's hard to say. In some ways, it's unavoidable because you can't, like, people's names are in Arabic.
Yeah.
Sometimes, but like I don't know if they'll call Paul the Mahdi, or I think they did call him the Mahdi, but they haven't referred to his holy war as a jihad. There's that, and it's also funny there's no Arabs in the cast in a movie that's like heavily inspired by Arabian history, so that's a little odd. So I think like it seems like what's happened is that the studio thought like, okay, if we call the holy war jihad, it's offensive because because of like recent conflict in the Middle East, people will have the connotation that like
it's negative. And
like they're terrorists, or like it like brings up negative stereotypes about Muslims, that sort of thing, which kind of didn't exist as much in the 60s, because like in the 60s when they wrote the book, like it's before the Iranian Revolution, it's before the war in Afghanistan. Like the only point of reference for an insurgency in the Middle East is like Imam Shamil's war against Russia and T. Lawrence's uprising against the Ottomans. So like I think like a lot of prejudices against like Muslims and Arabs that exist now didn't exist in the same way back then.
Yep.
Like just because America hadn't been to war with them
right,
yet.
it didn't happen.
Yeah, so like prejudice towards Arabs is a lot more like Orientalist, like, oh, they have their harems and 4 wives. It's all like it's like fetishized as like lurid fantasy, but it's not the stereotype that like, oh, that Arabs are dangerous kind of thing didn't necessarily exist, I don't think, or at least wasn't really part of the popular consciousness back then. I don't think that stereotype was popular. Yep. But the irony of it all is that like in, I think, trying not to cause offense, they kind of erased Arabs from a story about the Middle East. Like there's no Arab cast members. A lot of Arab words are changed into English, like they say jihad, or they say religious war instead of jihad. They call Padishah emperor the Padishah emperor or something like that.
Yep.
Not emphasizing that the emperor is called the Shah. So it's I know Shah is Persian, not Arab. no one hit me for that. But yeah, no. So it's an interesting approach in that way, and I'm interested to see how far they'll take it, because it becomes, you wouldn't notice in the first part as much, but if they have to change it in the second part, if they de-Arabize the second part of Dune, I think it'll be a lot more noticeable and like a little more detrimental to like the spirit of the story. Having said that, I'm really surprised that they were allowed to film Dune in Jordan and Dubai, because like there's a lot of like heavy religious themes in that book.
It's what the big bucks gets you.
The big bucks gets you making blasphemous films in the Arabian Peninsula,
wherever you want.
See, that's the problem with Chinese cinema. They don't have no one's made enough money to like buy off the censors yet.
Right, they just have too much money.
Jack Ma has enough money to avoid the censors a little bit. Like,
he should go to the moon.
Yeah, no, definitely, he should go to the moon. Everyone should make movies on the moon. There's no censors on the moon yet.
No HR crimes if you shoot someone.
Exactly. No fucking safety. Yeah, you don't have to use airsoft guns on that. Actually, maybe you do. I don't know if guns would actually fire on them,
right?
Because there's no atmosphere, so I don't actually know if a bullet would work.
I'm sure you'll get a lot of deaths, but again, like we said before, trial and error.
Exactly, trial and error. It'll be like the early days of moon
filming.
Yeah, I will be the Cecil B. DeMille of moon filming. All right, everyone, get into the moon pool. We're filming Noah's Ark. It's only going to be 20 more years until I can't get away with this. Yeah, all of it was kind of, it ended pretty much where I expected it to, but yeah, it was very good.
And you saw it twice.
I saw it twice. I'm going to see it like 3-4
You're a Dune stan.
Yes, because I need the part 2. So everyone watching this, go out and watch Dune 3 times just to bump the box office numbers up, so we get part 2.
Were you offended that Zendaya only had 7 minutes of airtime?
Oh yeah, that was funny. Yeah, she really only had like 2-3 lines. Like, she says Paul a couple times in Timothée Chalamet,
and most of them were dreams.
Yeah, like she says like 2 things, so she didn't really get to show off any like acting chops. But I thought like the one line she did have was like a little wooden, but I don't think that's fair because she wasn't in the movie very much.
Yeah.
Neither was Stellan Skarsgård, but he was very good. Stellan Skarsgård was very good as the Baron Harkonnen.
But the Gen Z crowd don't care about him.
Yeah, do Zoomers love Zendaya?
They do.
Oh, okay.
And Timothy, so.
Yeah.
I think that's why they casted them so young, because like they can relate to the younger audience. Whereas,
I mean, Paul is also supposed to be like in his late teens, kind of.
Right, but I mean, if they casted other people that weren't in the now, that it wouldn't do as well.
Yeah, I think they got Jason Momoa as Duncan Idaho like exactly for that.
Right.
But and Josh Brolin maybe, but Josh Brolin's also...
Oh, I wish they kept spoilers, the Oscar Isaac alive.
Well, yeah, but they can't. That kind of changes they can't do that. That would be changing it too much.
No, but I mean, like, I wish they casted him as something else so that he was alive.
Oh, okay. I don't know. I think he's best suited for the role of Leto Atreides. Like he has that kind of like, he can play that kind of gentle, wise character really well.
Right.
So I think he did. I think he did really well.
I don't know who the mom was. She was new.
Jessica Ferguson.
I don't know what she was been in.
She was in, or sorry, not Jessica. Character is named Jessica. Sorry. Yeah, she was in the Mission Impossible.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and she was in Men in Black International.
I didn't see that.
Did you see Girl on the Train?
No.
Did you see Doctor Sleep?
No.
Did you see? Did you see Greatest Show?
No, I did not.
Well, fuck, man. So there you have it, people. Tanim will not watch any movie starring Rebecca Ferguson.
No idea who she was, so I was like, all right, I guess they cast some random to be the mom.
No, she's not unknown, but she has that like Denis Villeneuve actress face.
Right.
I don't know how to describe it anymore. She just like looks like a woman who would be in a Denis Villeneuve movie. That's not a diss. She just does. Maybe it's just because like in this movie she's a sad redhead, and Amy Adams is a sad redhead in Arrival.
Yeah, they could have got Amy Adams.
I don't know. It's just I don't think Amy
She
Adams.
coulda pulled it off.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe it was just too much star power.
Yeah,
Sometimes you overcrowd a movie with, like, celebrities, and it's just like, "Oh, what about this guy? What about this guy?" And
yeah. I think
it overshadows the whole movie.
yeah. Josh Brolin as Gurney Halleck was good. He plays a good gruff soldier type pretty well. He was really doing his like Cable from Deadpool 2
Yeah,
shtick. So you've seen Jodorowsky's Dune.
I did, I liked it.
Yeah, no. So, do you want to like explain to everyone what that was and like how it relates to the current film?
Yeah, it's pretty much this director, Jodorowsky, he pretty much did his own vision of Dune back, what, in the '60s?
Yeah, it was like
'70s?
late 60s, early 70s kind of
Yeah,
thing.
so he had his own vision, he's wildly, I guess, creative and on psychedelics.
Eccentric. We call it
Yeah, so he did
eccentric.
a lot of storyboards and picked a really creative team that worked on, like, Aliens and other movies, and then it was so expensive that the movie didn't get made, and a lot of people from that team went on to work on different movies and inspired directors like James Cameron, Spielberg, George Lucas, and a lot of the movies that you see now are influenced by these storyboards.
Yeah. And so, like you said, a lot of people from the movie went on to do more influential things later. But it's, it's often called the greatest film never made,
Right.
just because it's so many people who would go on to do great things, like H.R. Geiger and Dan O'Bannon, who did the special effects for Alien. Orson Welles was supposed to be the Baron Harkonnen. Salvador Dali, the Spanish surrealist artist, was supposed to be the Emperor. Did I say Chris Foss?
No.
Oh, okay, yeah. Chris Foss was one of the who also worked as the spaceship designer for Alien, and he worked under Stanley Kubrick to make AI, artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
Oh, he also designed a lot of the spacecraft in Guardians of the Galaxy. So even though the movie never got made, it kind of spread throughout Hollywood, especially Geiger
Bannon.
and Dan O'Bannon. Yeah. So yeah, it was supposed to be a really crazy film, and people have argued that a lot of the storyboards went on to influence Star Wars, and had this movie come out, it would have had the same cultural influence that Star Wars did
Yeah.
a few years later. But I gotta say, I honestly don't think it would have been good.
I don't think it would have been good, but I think, like, a lot of the imagery and, like, aliens or spaceships that he would have created would have had, like, a lot of influence.
No, yeah, without a doubt. Like, it would have been a beautiful mess, I
Yeah.
think, because like I think Jodorowsky's vision was like not at all what the books
Also, I think
were.
he wanted it to be, like, 7 hours or something. Okay,
14
14.
hours. Sorry, I'm reading the Wikipedia
Yeah,
entry.
so that's a massive long movie.
Oh yeah, so Frank Herbert was actually still alive when they were making this movie. He said like him and Jodorowsky had an amicable relationship despite Jodorowsky making crazy bullshit that wasn't
Yeah.
that wasn't going to be his movie. But what I wanted to bring up is that Denis Villeneuve's vision of Dune is a lot closer to the book, and it's a lot more like subdued and brutalist rather than psychedelic. Like there's not really colors anywhere except the air. Everything's kind of gray and blocky, and I think that's like a legitimate interpretation of it. But so on the surface, it seems like the films don't have much in common. But if you look at the storyboards for Jodorowsky's Dune, you can see very clearly that the set designs for Getty Prime, the Harkonnen planet, are very much what H.R. Geiger would do later on in Alien. Like everything's like black and gritty and full of tubes. It's I think the style is called biomechanical. Like it's a surrealist art style that features a lot in Alien. But Getty Prime in Denis Villeneuve's Dune is very much seems to be influenced by the storyboard designs that H.R. Geiger did for it. So the Jodorowsky's Dune lives on.
Yep.
Yeah, even to this day. Have you seen any of his other movies,
I
Jodorowsky?
think one of them, but, like, it's very, like, psychedelic and, like, all over the place, and
It was the Holy
yeah, it
No.
was.
Yeah. It was
You
the
just need to
Holy
have
No.
patience and, like, not really think about it as a whole piece, just, like
Yeah, don't want it to make
yeah,
sense.
don't look at it,
Don't go and
yeah,
expect
with
it to
any
make
type of
sense.
logic.
Yeah, I think he got the money for that. Yeah, so The Holy Mountain's just an insane psychedelic film that he made, and it's like one of only two movies Jodorowsky like has actually made, and yeah, it's very crazy. I think he got the money to make it from John Lennon and Yoko Ono.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's fun. His other movie, El Topo, is I don't think it's as good. It's not nearly as psychedelic. It's like someone called it an acid western, so like a psychedelic western movie. But it's like it's I didn't like it as much just because it's not quite crazy enough. Like whereas the Holy Mountain is like cool because it's weird. This is like it feels like it's not weird enough. You know what I
It
mean?
needs more weird.
Exactly. It needs to be crazier. Like there needs to be a guy shitting in a bucket and the shit turning into gold. Or like people getting shot and birds coming out of the
Oh,
wounds.
someone will make that for you.
It's all yeah, that's the holy mount. But so I'm satisfied. Yeah, he's still alive. Like Jodorowsky's like alive. He's just like 93 or something like
Yep,
that.
must be all the psychedelics.
Exactly. I think my favorite part of Jodorowsky's Dune was the fact, like near the end. So, like after his version of Dune got shit canned, David Lynch made his version in 1982.
And no one saw.
Or people saw it, but it was not good. And Jodorowsky was sad because he's like, "Oh, I love David Lynch, and I went to go see it, and I thought, oh, this will crush me because it will be so good. It'll be better than any." But then halfway through seeing it, I thought, oh, thank God, it's terrible. It would have crushed him if the movie had been good. So, like, I don't know, maybe he's crushed by the fact that Denis Villeneuve made a good movie.
Now you can rest in peace.
Maybe. Or maybe he's like, maybe he'll just think like, oh fuck, someone made my movie and it wasn't nearly as crazy as I wanted it to be. Yeah, like if anyone was up to the challenge of making Dune, it was going to be Denis Villeneuve. Like he is the best director working right now. The best, Jerry. The best.
They say he's like the go-to like sci-fi director.
No,
now.
without a doubt. Like because he made Blade Runner, he made
Arrival.
Arrival. He made well, those are his two other sci-fi movies. He makes a good like action drama as well. Like Prisoners was pretty good, and Sicario was really good. I really like Sicario, but it's he's a man of diverse talents. But like sci-fi is what he really loves
Yep.
to do, it seems. What I'm really glad about is I think movies like The Hobbit and It, but I think what those movies did is like because they divided their movies into part one, part two, and people still went to see it, like he felt like, okay, I don't have to cut anything from the books. I can
Make
just
this longer.
yeah, exactly. Like I can just do everything. I can just do everything and add it and just
Right.
like have a second part if I need to. You and I have both read the books of Dune, or at least the first four. I don't think they're gonna create God Emperor of Dune. Leto's Paul's ancestor turns himself into a giant sandworm and it gets really
No,
weird.
they'll definitely change things up to make it more like modern.
No, but like I just don't think I don't know, like I think Denis has the confidence to make a movie where the star is the bad guy, like, and that's why I think he could make Dune Messiah really well, where you know he wages his holy war and it goes really badly and kills many millions of
Yep.
people. I would expect studios to take issue with that.
What studio worked on it? You know.
It's a Warner Brothers.
Oh.
It's a Warner Brothers film. I don't know if they'd like to take that chance to like have a guy who would like have a movie starring a guy who says he's literally worse than Hitler.
Right. I think I'll leave that one out.
I don't know.
I mean,
I hope they're bold with
that
it.
that girl got fired for saying bad remarks on Mandalorian against Jews.
Oh, Gina Serrano. Yeah, that happened a while ago. Yeah, I forgot about that. So like, yeah, no, it's possible they might not
Tread
do
lightly.
it. Like, yeah. But anyway, so like you and I have read the books, and I think having watched it with people who didn't read the books, I think like a legitimate criticism that happened is I think like a lot of stuff we would have taken for granted because we know the lore around everything. Like we know this is a future where there's no computers because they waged a war against AIs, and like the Bene Gesserit like have this whole eugenics breeding program to make like perfect humans.
Did they explain that in part one? No.
They did, but it's like they explained so
Little of it, yeah.
little of it, like where like you know it's in the movie, but if like we'd never heard of it, I don't think we would have gotten it from the scene that they had.
Right.
And I think like the movie could have benefited from like some more
With
dialogue.
why there's no technology.
Yeah, but the issue is that like this is I think a problem with the book itself, not the movie. So like while I think he's doing like Denis, and that's what I mean, like Denis made the best Dune movie you could possibly make. It's just the book is not perfect. And a lot of like the background of Dune is explained in the appendices. So like it'll introduce this term, tell you who the Bene Gesserit are, but like it'll really be explained in detail in like in the last pages in the appendix. And you can't really have an appendix for a movie.
Right, unless you make like a prologue movie.
Yeah, but like, as much as I don't want to like accommodate the tastes of the general
Prequels?
public. Yeah, no, because then we start having to get into Brian Herbert territory. No one wants that.
I mean, he can always make a prequel after he makes all of these.
I mean, I think is Sisterhood of Dune a prequel, or I'm not sure.
No idea.
I don't want them to make Sisterhood of Dune because it's a Brian Herbert book, and that's why I don't want prequels.
You can get Brian Herbert stands coming at you.
There's
They're
no
they're gonna come at you.
There's no such thing. No one's gonna come at me because there's no such thing as a Brian Herbert.
They're gonna come at you with their jihads.
Oh my god, it'll be the Butlerian jihad all over again. But like, yeah, that term features quite a bit in the books of Dune. Like their holy war against the machines, where like they eliminated all like most of their computer technology, was called the Butlerian jihad.
Yeah.
I don't actually, it's not totally clear, I don't think, if that was like an actual war against machines or if it's like kind of like a bonfire of the vanities type deal where like people in the general public just go around like burning computers or some shit.
Yep.
Yeah, like it's not made especially clear. But that's what I mean. There's a lot of shit to fill in the Dune books. Like it's not
that linear.
Yeah, like it's not the easiest to understand.
Well, that's what his job is to do.
No, exactly. But it's tricky. Like if there's a flaw in a book, do you change it to do you change the movie to fix that flaw?
You get John Cena to be your PR.
John Cena, the best PR. I don't know. Yeah, that's something I don't know if I really know the answer to. Like if you improve it at some point, it's just not the same.
Right. I mean, you're always gonna get haters. You're gonna have the purists and people who are like, "Why couldn't you just pick something else?"
Yeah. No. Fair enough. Yeah. I think I'm happy that he stuck pretty close to the source material. It's distracting when they don't because you think, oh, why did they do that?
Right, but it's their own thing, right?
Yeah.
So it's just like all the criticism with when they made Game of Thrones, like being strict to the books or going off on kind of their own ideas.
No, I get that. Like you're not wrong, and like it is a different medium. It's a visual medium, so it's not like what makes a good book doesn't necessarily make a good movie.
Yep.
It's hard. It's tricky. I want to say there's like an ideal like fixed Dune, but it's probably fine. Denis, you do, and it'll all be better once we have part 2.
2023.
I can't wait that long.
Too bad.
Because that means it's going to be 2025 or some shit. Like, it's just going to... I can't have this take up so much of my life. We need to get Denis working on other projects, too. They should have just let him film both of them at the same time.
I'm sure he wants to do other things.
No, well, but, like, he wanted to film part 1 and 2 at the same time. Because, like, he didn't want the studio to see, like, oh, this was a box office disaster. We shouldn't have done this. Part 2 is canceled.
Yeah.
And so that's why he wanted, because like I think it would be cheaper to film. It's cheaper to film 2 parts of the movie at the same time, right? I
don't know. I guess it depends on where it is too.
Yeah, I guess. But like I feel like you get to film like you get to just keep the same location and film multiple. I don't know. I feel like you just eliminate like setup costs or transport costs in that way.
Well, now they have money because it's doing well.
Hell yeah, 200 million at the box office, baby. Everyone keep going to watch this damn movie.
Or Lake will come after you on Halloween.
I will come after. I don't know. Ridley Scott's movie didn't do well. But
is that out already?
Yeah, it's out already. Apparently, it didn't do well.
I wanted to see that.
Do you want to? Yeah, no, so do I. Oh, and Wes Anderson's The French Dispatch is also out. So I think I was worried that like post COVID there would like all the movies would be shit, but because like they weren't filming any movies, but yeah, seems to be okay.
Yeah, they're starting to trickle down now.
Exactly. But yeah, we'll see. I've heard suggestion that Ridley Scott's film The Last Duel isn't doing well because like it deals pretty heavily
religious
in themes of sexual assault. No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sexual assault. result. They're saying like people didn't want to see it for that reason. But I don't think that's a reason people don't go see movies. People watched Girl on the Train. Like they watched Girl on the Train, they watched Gone Girl, they watched Deliverance. I don't know. They watched Boys Don't Cry. It's just
Brokeback Mountain.
that's not really. I don't think that has sexual assault in it, does it? I've never actually seen it. Wait, does it actually? Or?
I think it's consensual.
Oh, okay. Oh,
I know. Where has Ang Lee been?
Is that a thing that Ang Lee like? Or wait, did Ang Lee do Brokeback Mountain?
I think he did.
Really? That's such a weird fucking movie for him to do.
Why?
I don't know, like, cause he usually makes like he likes like fantasies and yeah, he likes fantasy movies and like weird artsy super.
Yeah, he did Brokeback.
Like he made like Life of Pi and
Crouching Tiger.
and Dragon. Yeah, like that's I don't know. It's a very odd movie for him to have made. I don't get it. And Gemini.
Well, he did.
God, I'm reading his filmography now. This is such a weird mix of shit. Because there's Hulk, like the 2003 Hulk that was bad, Brokeback Mountain, Life of Pi, and Gemini Man. It's a really mixed bag of like genres, but also quality.
He's due for an epic return.
Yeah, I think so. Well, we'll see. We'll see if anything comes his way.
Yep.
Yeah, but what do you think about like directors who like have a mixed bag of filmographies? Like, do you think they're hacks or like I don't know, there's just shit beyond their control, or it's just like that's just what happens?
I think it's good because they're just trying out new things, and you never know what that can lead to unless you put it out there.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, that's because I was thinking about Ridley Scott, and like I've gone from thinking Ridley Scott is brilliant to Ridley Scott is a hack who got lucky once to thinking like, okay, he's fine. Because like I really like Blade Runner, as you know. I really like All the Money in the World, but he also made and I like Gladiator and Black Hawk Down, but I really didn't like that Robin Hood movie he made.
Yeah.
And I really didn't care for Prometheus.
I mean, not every movie's gonna be a hit, so you gotta.
No, I know, but like those were like weirdly exceptionally bad. I don't know. Oh, I really liked American Gangster.
Oh yeah.
I believe you worked.
Yes.
You worked on American Gangster. You did the poster.
You did.
Yeah, the poster that's on the Wikipedia page for American Gangster. That's a good one. Like that's a good movie. Didn't he like make that movie in like 2004, but it got delayed for so long that it ended up coming out in like 2000.
Yeah, there's always delays for movies.
So yeah, dude. Oh yeah, so I guess you can't say Ridley. Why am I asking you? You can't say Ridley Scott's a hack because you gotta work for him at some point.
I mean, he can still be a hack, but I know, like, at least with other creatives, it's just like you try not to get looped into one genre. If like, I mean, look at what's that guy who made that horror movie Peele?
Oh,
Jordan Peele.
Jordan Peele. Yeah.
He was like a comedy writer, and then he made, what was that movie called?
Get Out.
Which was amazing.
Yeah. And then he made a second, like, vaguely racially themed horror movie in Us.
Right. And I think also the creator that made Glee also made, like, American Horror Story.
That's an odd.
So he went from, like, musicals to, like, horror movies series.
So, yeah, and then Ridley Scott goes from, like, sci-fi to gladiator films to gangster films to 1970s hostage dramas, which...
Yep.
I need more of those. I want more movies about the 70s and 80s in Italy. That's what I need in life. Kind of my last point on this. So, have you ever? Do you believe in Rotten Tomatoes? Do you believe it's trustworthy?
Rarely go onto the site.
Okay, so like you don't believe that you don't believe in their methodology or whatever. Or?
I just don't rely on other, I guess, movie critique websites on like for film reviews. I just go on my own instinct and do my own research and then check it out.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. I mean, though Rotten Tomatoes has steered me wrong, and I have also steered myself wrong because I remember it was my idea for us to go see Ad Astra, which was a piece of shit.
I mean, the marketing worked, didn't it?
It really did. I was expecting like a space epic, something along the lines of Interstellar.
Epic fail.
Yeah, no. Yeah, it was really bad. But yeah, so people were saying that like so there's like kind of a controversy about the movie Fauci, like it's about Fauci,
the chef?
No, the disease
Oh, that
control
guy.
guy. Yeah. I don't know what his exact title is. I think it's like director of the Center of Infectious Disease, some shit like that.
Trump's secondhand guy.
But that's the thing. He's been in that position since the 80s. Like he's been in that position since Reagan. Like and no one's taken over for him.
I mean, that's what Italians do. They grow up women.
I think you're thinking of Como now. It's getting racist.
No, talking about Fauci.
But but the controversy was that the Rotten Tomatoes critics score was very high, but the audience score was very low. But the audience score is like it's clearly like anti-vax, like anti-lockdown dudes review bomb.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, there's no way it's like this documentary about him is like 90% good.
I mean, is that where you go to get your film reviews?
I mean, I do a mix of things, but like I don't find anyone has quite the same taste in movies as me. So Rotten Tomatoes is just interesting because it's like an aggregate.
Right. Doesn't Metacritic do that too?
Yeah, I think so. But like Rotten Tomatoes is weird because like the score is like positive and like it's the ratio of positive to negative, but it doesn't take into account like what the actual score was beyond whether it was a positive or a negative review. But as a result, you'll get movies like Fauci where it's like 6.5 out of 10. Like the average is 6.5 out of 10.
Yeah.
But because like it's a middling movie, most of the reviews are positive, so like the reviews like 90%. So I think like the methodology of Rotten Tomatoes is that like it ends up being favorable towards middling films. So like Marvel movies, because there's nothing like technically wrong with them, do really well because they're not like exceptional, but they're not very out there. Like so there's not a lot to hate.
You should make your own movie review platform.
Would you do that with me? Would you help me set that up?
Yeah, why not?
Hell yeah. See, I say that, but on the other hand, like that would mean I have to watch every movie, and I really don't want to do that.
Well, that could be your second job.
I wouldn't want to be a film critic just because like I would have to see all the shitty movies I don't want to see, like, and that
But
would
you get to bash all the directors and films.
No, I know. Like, and there's like, okay, but there's movies that are so bad they're entertaining, like your Battlefield Earths, but then there's just like boring, uninspired melodramas that win all the Oscars, like that just like are a slog to watch.
Gotta watch them all.
Like that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, no, exactly. I would have to watch them all. I would gotta catch 'em all. Gotta catch 'em all. Pokemon. Yeah. No, yeah. So like that's the reason I couldn't. Like I'd have to watch all the boring melodramas I hate in order to be a film critic.
No Time Like the Present.
Like I couldn't just watch the movies that I like. It sounds hellish.
Well, you can just do movies that you want to watch and review them.
That's true, but then it would be like very limited in scope. Just like, whoa. As it turns out, I should only watch movies by Martin Scorsese and Denis Villeneuve and Taylor Sheridan. And like sometimes like a really stupid action film, but that's about it. So yeah, no future in that for me.
Damn it.
Disappointed?
No.
Okay, good.
All right, thanks everyone for tuning in. You can find us everywhere on your favorite podcast platforms. And don't forget to check us out on social media. Where are we at? Facebook, Instagram, and we're on YouTube.
All right, thanks everyone.